Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At this very moment, Hurricane Helene is wreaking unprecedented havoc on Mexico's most famous tourist destinations. Over the past 24 hours, Helene has swept through the beautiful beaches of Cancun, Isla Mujeres, and the surrounding areas, turning the Caribbean paradise into a battlefield of natural disaster. Areas that were once bustling with tourists are now submerged in devastation, floods, and fallen trees. And the most terrifying part is, this storm is far from over. The eye of Hurricane Helene is heading directly towards Florida, with unpredictable strength, threatening millions of lives. As you can see, waves over 10 meters high are relentlessly crashing into the shores of Cancun. It's hard to imagine that just a few hours ago, this place was a vacation destination for thousands of tourists. Now it is nothing more than a desolate land where life and hope seem to be slowly washed away by the violent waves. The tourists still stranded here have no way to escape. Authorities are doing their best to respond, but in the face of nature's unstoppable force, all efforts feel incredibly small. I am standing on one of the busiest streets in Cancun, Kukulkan Boulevard. Just a few hours ago, this area was bustling, filled with lights and the laughter of tourists. But now, everything has changed. Floodwaters have risen to this level, and the fast-flowing currents are sweeping away everything in their path. Cars are trapped, and fallen trees block the roads. Rescue teams are working tirelessly, but the intensity of the storm has made every route more dangerous than ever. Residents here have been advised to stay indoors, but many are still venturing out, trying to evacuate from the danger zones. And here's the latest footage from the U.S. National Hurricane Center. As you can see, Hurricane Helene has not weakened. In fact, it has grown even stronger. Wind speeds are reaching over 100 miles per hour, extending hundreds of miles from the eye of the storm. Its trajectory is now heading directly toward the state of Florida. Experts are warning that this storm could trigger historic tsunamis and flooding in coastal areas. Residents are being urged to evacuate immediately to ensure their safety. Florida is currently facing the threat of becoming the epicenter of an unprecedented natural disaster. At Cancun International Airport, the scene is nothing short of a nightmare. Over 100 flights have been canceled, and thousands of passengers are unable to leave the area. The airport is currently facing power outages and localized flooding, making it impossible for flights to take off or land safely. Many travelers are anxiously waiting, uncertain of when they will be able to leave, as Hurricane Helene continues to wreak havoc outside. We are currently at one of the largest hotels in Cancun, which now lies in ruins. The glass doors have shattered, and floodwaters have poured into the main lobby, sweeping away everything in their path. To make matters worse, the strong winds have caused severe structural damage to the building, making the evacuation of guests extremely dangerous. Hundreds of people are trapped inside their hotel rooms, waiting for help, but rescue efforts are facing immense challenges due to the extreme weather conditions. I am standing here in Isla Mujeres, one of the areas hit hardest by Hurricane Helene. As you can see, this island has almost been completely submerged. The streets that just a few hours ago were bustling with locals and tourists are now nothing more than raging floodwaters. Many families have had to leave everything behind, abandoning their homes in search of shelter. Power has been completely cut off and communication lines are down, making the situation here more dangerous than ever. The Federal Electricity Commission is working around the clock to restore power to the affected areas. But the destructive force of Hurricane Helene has made everything incredibly complicated. Over 120,000 users are currently living in darkness. Many residents in Isla Mujeres and Cancun are without clean water and unable to communicate with the outside world. Electric workers are doing their best, but with the heavy rains and constant strong winds, this process could take several days or even weeks. Helene has not only swept away infrastructure, but also stolen the hopes and futures of thousands of families here. Homes that were once safe havens are now reduced to piles of rubble. People are struggling to salvage what little remains from this disaster. They have lost everything in just one night, and now they must face the harsh reality that their lives will never be the same again. In many parts of Cancun, the power of the wind has caused unimaginable damage. Trees have been uprooted, signs torn down, and cars tossed around like toys. We've witnessed scenes that are hard to believe. Water up to chest level, violent winds, and everything around being swept away by the floodwaters. Local authorities have had to close many key roads to ensure safety, but for the residents here, evacuation remains the top priority. The current flooding situation in Cancun is unprecedented in history. Many key roads have been completely submerged by floodwaters, rendering them impassable. Vehicles have been abandoned in the water, and residents have no choice but to move by any means possible. Authorities are advising people to stay off the roads, but in the face of such danger, many are being forced to evacuate to ensure their safety. Rescue teams in Cancun and surrounding areas are working tirelessly, trying to reach the isolated regions. Many areas have been completely cut off by floodwaters, making access by road impossible. These rescue boats are the only way to bring people to safety, but with the heavy rain and fast-flowing waters, each trip carries unpredictable risks. The tourism and restaurant industry, which is the economic backbone of Cancun, is now facing an unprecedented crisis. Over 95% of restaurants in this area have had to completely shut down due to flooding and power outages. Small businesses may take months or even years to recover, if they can at all. Julio Villarreal, a representative of the Canarac Chamber of Commerce, stated that this damage could be a devastating blow to many local businesses. The tourism and restaurant industry, which is the economic backbone of Cancun, is now facing an unprecedented crisis. Over 95% of restaurants in this area have had to completely shut down due to flooding and power outages. Small businesses may take months or even years to recover, if they can at all. Julio Villarreal, a representative of the Canarac Chamber of Commerce, stated that this damage could be a devastating blow to many local businesses. We will continue to bring you the latest updates on Hurricane Helene as it moves inland with terrifying strength. This natural disaster is continuing to spread, and anyone in the affected areas should ensure the safety of themselves and their families. Please follow all directives from local authorities and prepare for the worst. Helene is closing in with every passing second, and it will not stop at anything.